When I worked in TRW in Fairfield, we had a magazine called Feedback, and it would show what's going on in the company. And every once in a while, this one guy I worked with would slip over to the other building, and he would find the like proofs of the pictures for the magazine. And if they were interesting, he'd bring them back to me, thinking maybe I could use it in the future. Now, that's I won't say almost 50 years ago, but it's a good 40. And I shielded these guys' faces because they're guilty. The guy on the right here, I could tell you his name, but I won't. He was in charge of the warehouse, and I went over there, and I had to get these boxes down. They were long boxes. They used to call it eggshell foam in them. The boxes were for keyboards, and for some reason, this jerk was putting them real high up on the shelves. They were as a keyboard would come back for repair. We would save the box, and then when we ship it back out, I'd go get the box. So he had the boxes way up high on this shelf. It's a warehouse. It's not a regular room. So I said, you got those boxes up there pretty high, and I said, this ladder, it was a wooden ladder, and it was all broken, and I don't know how it got that broken. And it was all duct taped together. And I said, this is very dangerous, this ladder. What, are you afraid? Are you afraid? Okay, so I'm sitting on my side, week and a half later or so, and one of the guys comes over and he says, you know that ladder in the warehouse? I said, yeah. I said, they didn't replace it? He goes, no, it broke in half. And the guy up on it fell down, broke his back. He can't move his legs. He's in the hospital. And this guy here took the ladder, and he took it down to the machine shop, and he cut it up on the bandsaw, and then he hit it. But the people watching it, knowing the whole story, ratted him out I won't say ratted him out, but told the police where to find the ladder. And I stayed out of it. I totally stayed out of it. All right? Because I know what I'm dealing with. These guys, when you go to court, it could be I broke the ladder, okay? You have to stay away from certain things when you got people that are covering for their ass. Now, this guy over here was my boss, and he used all the systems that Trump uses. Tell you, I'll get back to you Thursday. It's somebody else's fault, and this. And what happened to him was he bought a bunch of equipment for the company. And the company that sold us the equipment said, do you want the software? And he says, no, we got software writers. So when they brought the equipment in, our software guys were old. They said, we don't know that language. That's proprietary. So he put on all this equipment like it was in operation. And then he wrote it up. And then for some reason, the main company came out to check to see how everything was going. And one of the girls says, this stuff don't work. We don't have the software. So basically, they fired him, and they gave him a week to walk around and say goodbye to everybody. To everybody, nobody would go near him. People kept saying, "John, go tell him what you really think of him." John, go tell. I said, "No." I said, "I don't know if I'm going to meet him at the next place." Now down here, let's hope it's in the frame. Let me look. Okay, these are plastic boxes, clear plastic boxes with slide pieces that hold the two halves together. And these two guys, the reason they're in the picture with it, is they come up with the idea of saving the company millions of dollars by putting the circuit boards in hard cases instead of a cardboard box. Well, the first week, the amount of damage being done to the boards was amazing, and they covered it up. These two clowns covered it up, and a lot of my stuff, parts that were getting broken off, we couldn't get. And they did so much damage, it's unbelievable. They covered it up, and little by little, these things disappeared, or were only on certain boards, and then other things went back into the boxes. But here, the article was written up that they saved the company X amount of dollars. They didn't. They did X amount of damage to the company. Now, I'm sure if you had two of these guys both these guys interviewed now, they would tell you a different story. All right. Well, and you say, well, why did you go back to cardboard boxes from these great ideas that you had? And liars have great comebacks a lot of times. But both these guys, I don't remember what happened to him over the ladder incident, but he got fired, and he's just sitting there. And the guy that worked with him just saying the same thing to me. I'm not saying anything. We were laughing behind the scenes, but we wouldn't say anything in front of a bunch of people because you don't know where that guy's going to end up next. All right? Now, when I was in TRW, me and the boss, one of the bosses, we were walking around the building. And all of a sudden, my boss taps me. He goes, look over there. And there's a guy outside next to his car shooting up with a needle. So, of course, we let him go. And I go to a job interview, and there he is. There's the kid. And I'm like, well, and then the guy was going to hire me. He says he'd get back to me in like 2 weeks. And I knew he wouldn't call me back because that guy's going to say stuff about me because he's a drug user. And I knew I wouldn't get the job. But you don't know who you're going to meet at the next job. But I want to tell you, I went through hell in life. And I was one of the, I won't say the top tech, but I'd say there's 4 of us that were at the top. And we would help each other. And this guy here caused a lot of people to quit. And then he'd say, I didn't like him. I had to walk on eggshells around him. Well, the 3 smart guys that I worked with, of the first group, I really liked them. They smoked a lot of pot, but they were funny, and they just bailed on us. And they told me because of him. All right, and what he did was he didn't want anybody smarter than him around him. So he sat with me one night trying to get me to quit. And it was amazing. Then he got up and got away, and someone come over and said to me, he's been doing that to the top techs. And there was something wrong with him, okay? That's why I won't say his name. But unbelievable what you'll go through. And, you know, the saying is, just because you're paranoid, even though you're paranoid, it's still possible someone's out to get you. You know, when you're paranoid, you think everybody's out to get you. But it is still possible that there's someone that wants you to quit. And, I was in charge of safety. That's why I told him about the ladder. Now, this guy here, we had swivel chairs, and the guys were standing up on the swivel chair in order to get stuff down on these high racks, and they were falling. So I was safety guy. I asked this guy to get us a step stool, and what it is, it's a round thing. And the wheels are down. You can kick it along and it rolls. And then when you step on it, the wheels go up inside. He finally buys me one. And then he goes, are you happy now, baby? That's why I checked to see. I think he's dead, but I checked to see. I'm trying to find him, see if he's dead yet. But yeah, when you work in companies, you got people that you just don't like them. But then there are people that take it to another level where one day you're talking to somebody, oh, I don't like him either, man. Did you see what he did? And with this guy, one of the secretaries that wrote up all his evaluations, all his ideas and everything, after he left, she just sat down with me and she just let it fly. And basically, he did a lot of sneaky stuff in order to get to where he was, but he wasn't qualified. And maybe on paper he was qualified, but he just made horrible, horrible decisions. And he really thought he was smart. And I look back on that. And after I left, then there were some workers I had to work with that were really bad. And then everybody said basically the same thing. The person's got a problem. And, you know, after I got out and away from that, I started weaning off some of my friends. I started getting rid of some of them. And that's because there were screw-ups. And when you get time to think, you start telling, that guy owes me money. Wait a minute, he broke this, he broke that, he took this, never brought it back. And there was one guy who was just so totally bad. And I was loaning him money to buy a house. And his old man was going to sign the gift thing. You can give your child $10,000 towards a house. So I loaned the guy the money, and the father signed the paperwork as though he was giving the son the money. And he's telling me I wouldn't do this. He's telling me. I said, but your son. No, no, you don't understand. See, what he's trying to tell me is he knew his son was a screw up. All right. And I got involved with loaning people money and helping them with their first house and all that. And I guess it was a thing I can look back on and a learning tool for me. But there's the two biggest idiots I've ever had to work with, and they joined forces, and I blotted out their face, and these are the two kind of people that are going to not have any Social Security or any retirement money, and they would probably try to sue me. I actually had a nightmare about this picture one time, and then because I was thinking about doing this video, and then I put it aside, because I don't want any problems, because these two cause problems, and that's what some people do, like Trump. He sues people all the time, and people just give in because when you go to court, it's a pain in the ass. And I was over at the Walmart, and I bumped into a guy, and he was putting in a giant shed building for the horses. We have Amish people here, so they have horses, and they built a bigger building so they can actually put their animals out of the rain. And this I walked over and I started talking to him, and he said he was from New York. And then he went into I used to have this company, and Trump bankrupted me. I'm like, oh man, can I get away from the guy? But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. Some of the stuff. This was from a Feedback magazine. And they had a contest to rename the Feedback magazine. And one guy put in the name Feedback again, and he won. They went through all the names, and they said, well, they don't know where the name Feedback came from. So now this guy says, call it Feedback, even though it's called Feedback. And then they gave the guy won by putting in the original name. Yeah, I worked around some real crazy stuff. And sometimes I think that I'm an NPC, non-player character. Yeah, and I'm just caught in this matrix, and it's just insane. And I'm realizing lately there's a lot of insanity, and I try to help people, and they're sneaky. Okay, I won't go into all this stuff, but anyway, I just want to show you. And then the guy, he gave me a bunch of these pictures, and I think I have a picture of me showing you me carrying the mattresses. I made Feedback maybe twice. I don't know if my name was mentioned. No, I don't think it was, because Feedback was more than one district, and everybody that was in the picture with me holding the mattress was from a district. I think that's it. All right, that's it.